Good, happy Monday evening, April 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to Good Evening, New Hampshire. We have a little bit of everything for you in this program in Good Evening, New Hampshire, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Good Evening, New Hampshire. We're going to begin with your news. Let's begin with local news. First up, COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. And here is a look at the COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know. There are 1,392 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 762,496 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 41 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 198 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 40,478 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where the cases of COVID-19 are in the towns and cities of New Hampshire. Hollis, 1 to 4 cases of COVID-19. In this chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. Common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. Judge takes lawmakers versus Sununu COVID-19 funding dispute under advisement after hearing. Separating of powers case focuses on who has final say over how 1.25B in Federal CARES Act relief funds are spent. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
In this life, there are only so many things you can count on. The sun rising every day is one.
In court, New Hampshire's Solicitor General and attorneys for State House Democrats argued over who has control of $1.25 billion in coronavirus relief funds, Governor Chris Sununu or the legislature.
Those statutes provide the governor fairly extraordinary spending powers to meet what is a fairly extraordinary public emergency.
We believe the question before the court is whether the governor needs to follow the law as the emergency appropriation statute requires.
The fight spilled over to the Fiscal Committee today, where Democrats moved to reverse the governor's budget transfers to fund the COVID-19 response.
This committee did not used to be partisan.
There is no partisanship in this motion.
Democratic leaders at the State House say they want to hold the governor to the letter of the law when it comes to spending. But the legislative budget assistant told lawmakers they might be making a bit of a stretch attempting to reverse Sununu's relief efforts.
As far as Fiscal Committee having the authority to reverse a transfer made under the executive order, I'm not sure Fiscal does have that authority.
The governor says he's keeping his attention on the pandemic.
The Democrats are focused on this inside baseball and political games that, frankly, no one cares about. We're just focused here on negotiating more PPE, working with governors on getting more and adequate testing for the people in New Hampshire.
And the Superior Court judge in this case is expected to make an expedited ruling due to the crucial nature of these funds. We asked the governor this afternoon whether he loses if he plans to appeal to the Supreme Court. He said he's not focused on that, but he also did not rule it out. Reporting live in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into national news. In national news, health departments stepping up coronavirus contact tracing. Let's take a listen to that video from CBS this morning.
Success in the fight against the coronavirus may depend in part on two things: learning who has the disease and who could get it. Health officials use a method called contact tracing to find out who infected patients may have met. Our national correspondent Jerika Duncan is in New York. Jerika, how is this effort being stepped up?
Well, good morning to you, Anthony. What's happening right now is that we're seeing city, county, and state health departments that are coordinating this effort. But what we're also seeing is that these health departments are actually expanding their rosters of tracers. This happening at the same time that some of the world's biggest tech companies are helping.
What date did you start to feel like you had some kind of symptoms?
In Salt Lake County, which has more than half of Utah's 3,000 plus COVID cases, they're aggressively stepping up contact tracing.
We know it's important to not just know who the positive case is, but who in an infectious disease, who they have been in contact with.
Gary Edwards is executive director of Salt Lake County Health Department.
Are you testing the people in that house as well when you identify someone who has tested positive for COVID-19?
If it is a household, we do want those family members tested, yes, because that has been especially close contact.
In contact tracing, a person who tests positive tells the health department who they've been in contact with. The health department then alerts those people and asks them to monitor their symptoms and to quarantine if needed. And it's happening across the country.
So I asked you all to start keeping a daily log.
Rhode Island's governor asked everyone in the state to keep a personal log of whom they've encountered. Massachusetts is investing $44 million to hire and train more tracers.
So here I have the list of my contacts.
And in San Francisco, with more than 1,000 cases and at least 20 deaths, healthcare officials use text messaging to communicate with people who've tested positive and their close contacts most at risk.
For every new case, there are 3 to 5 close contacts.
Dr. Mike Reed is with the San Francisco Department of Public Health. They're calling on everyone, from medical students to librarians, to help them with contact tracing.
The reason for training people now is so that we're ready in 3, 4, 5 weeks' time, whenever the decision is made that we'll end the shelter in place.
Tech companies are also preparing. Apple and Google recently announced a joint plan to create software for iPhones and Androids that will allow them to keep a record of every other phone they've come in close contact with. The tracking is voluntary.
Your phone will know what other phones you have been near for a period of time. Then if you, let's say, test positive and you alert the system, it will go and find all of the phones that you have been near over the last 14 days.
Dan Ackerman is senior managing editor for CNET.
Of course, there are a lot of issues with that. Just because your phone is within Bluetooth range of another phone doesn't mean that you were necessarily in communicable disease range of somebody.
Americans love their apps, but they also love their privacy.
When we think about tracking and tracing, all the news of the last several years has been negative. And now they're trying to shift it into being something for a greater public good. It may be a hard sell.
Now, using a smartphone to trace this virus is already happening in places like South Korea and Singapore, but there it is mandatory. And something else worth mentioning, Anthony, is that these contact tracers will not ask for information regarding your social security number, your financial information, and they will not ask about your immigration status.
Yeah, it's a valuable tool, Jerika, and we're going to need health experts say we're going to need a small army of contact tracers in the weeks ahead. Jerika Duncan, thanks.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And your coronavirus updates. Como says we are going through hell. Over 40,000 people have died in the U.S. New York is the epicenter of the U.S. Today's biggest developments. Fauci warns reopening U.S. too soon could backfire. Over 1,800 inmates test positive at Ohio prison. 25 teachers dead in NYC. In New Jersey, 40% of the deaths are from long-term care facilities. And let's switch gears now. Let's go into business news. And let's see how your U.S. stock market closed for this evening, this Monday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in, the red went down. Your Nasdaq closed in, the red went down. S&P 500 closed in, the red went down. Gold closed in, the red went down. Oil closed in, the green went up. U.S. 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in, the red went down. And VIX closed in the green and went up. Dow drops more than 500 points to start the week after historic oil plunge. Stocks fell sharply on Monday, retraining back-to-back weekly gains as historic decline in U.S. crude price raised concerns about the economic damage being done by the coronavirus shutdowns. A delay in funding for the Dependable Small Business Rescue Loan Program also weighed on sentiments. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather and traffic. Let's begin with the weather first. Your weather right now is sunny, 48 degrees. Your weather for tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low near 30 degrees, winds light and variable. And now let's take a look at the traffic this evening. And here's a look at that evening traffic map for all of you this evening. In Henniker, you're seeing smooth sailing with some medium pace traffic. Hopkinton, smooth sailing. Bow, Pembroke, and Concord, all smooth sailing. Chichester, smooth sailing. Epsom, smooth sailing. Northwood, smooth sailing. Lee, smooth sailing. Durham, smooth sailing. Portsmouth, smooth sailing. Rochester, Dover, and Somersworth, all smooth sailing. Maine, smooth sailing with some medium pace traffic. Rye, Northampton, Hampton, Seabrook, into the border, Massachusetts, all smooth sailing. 101, all smooth sailing on 101 with some medium-paced traffic. Manchester and Hooksett area, all smooth sailing. And around the Manchester airport, all smooth sailing. Bedford, smooth sailing with some slow traffic and some construction here. Amherst, smooth sailing. Milford, smooth sailing with some medium and slow-paced traffic. Merrimack, Nashua, into the border, Massachusetts, all smooth sailing. Nashua, Milford, all smooth sailing with some medium and slow-paced traffic. Manchester, Derry, Windham, Salem, into the border, Massachusetts, all smooth sailing. And that is a look at your traffic this evening. And we have some sports news this evening. Been a while since we did sports because not a lot of sports news happening lately because hockey's not happening, basketball and baseball not happening right now because of this virus, but we have some sports news. The New England Patriots reveal new uniforms on Patriots Day. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Between lines, mix with unlimited, or switch it up at any time. All on the most reliable wireless network. Switch and save up to $400 a year on your wireless bill. And ask how to get $200 off when you buy an eligible phone. Go to XfinityMobile.com today.
Something to look forward to.
This will be the Patriots' new look when the NFL season finally starts. It's the first new look for the team's primary uniform in 20 years. They say it's part of an effort to modernize the style. You can revisit the history of the Patriots uniforms right now on our website and mobile app as well. Getting mixed reviews by folks out there, but I don't know. Doesn't look too bad out there. What do you think?
I don't mind it. Could be worse at this point. Hopefully they'll be out on the field.
We'll take anything to talk about sports-wise, yeah.
And not have to talk about Tom Brady not wearing one of those uniforms, right?
Okay, and there you go. That's a look at the Patriots' new uniform. Comment below and let us know what you think about it. We want to hear from you. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into New Hampshire Life segment. In your New Hampshire Life segment, Mobile Food Pantry helps needy families in Concord. School provides meals for dinners and weekends. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
We need a new generation of farmers, and these farmers need to be farmers who are taking care.
They lined up in front of Rundlet Middle School today, buses, cars, and a group of volunteers trying to keep Concord students from going hungry. This mobile food pantry is providing meals to needy families, trying to fill in the gaps for many during the COVID-19 crisis.
Well, it's always been important to us. We know that there are kids on the weekends who don't know where their next meal is coming from. And now we're asking kids to learn at home, and we can't really do that if they're worrying about where their next meal is coming from.
Each box provides about 2 weeks of food for dinners and weekends, and they plan on doing another similar distribution on May 4th. The Concord School District is already providing 400 breakfasts and lunches a day to students during this period of remote learning. With the help of private donations, they were able to come up with 200 food boxes. There are even some extra coupons from local restaurants for some free meals. Kathy Kitchell works with immigrant families in the school system. She says they're feeling very vulnerable right now.
It is a tough time for them. The biggest thing is that they just don't quite understand exactly what's going on. Brings back a lot of memories from, times that they've suffered in the past. Some of them are afraid to leave their house, so bringing them food is a way that they actually get some food.
It's a tough time for everyone that can be made a little easier with some food, some caring, and some comfort. In Concord, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's switch gears now. Let's go into TV guide listing for tonight. On NACN at 8 p.m. is Dateline, and then at 9 p.m. Dateline. On CBS, The Neighborhood at 8 p.m. And then Bob Hart's Below is at 8:30 p.m. And then All Rise at 9 p.m. On ABC, The Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart. On Fox, new episode of 911. And then at 9 p.m., Plarging. On Channel 7, Family Feud at 8 p.m. And then Family Feud at 8:30 p.m. And then at 9 p.m., 7 News at 9. On NBC, The Voice is on at 8 p.m. tonight. That is a look at what's on TV tonight. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into entertainment news. In entertainment news, Dwayne Johnson jokes he and his wife are practicing making babies while in quarantine. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
Last night, we poured ourselves a couple of glasses of Terramana. We had a nice little toast of gratitude, and then we started practicing making babies again. You're welcome.
According to Dwayne Johnson, self-quarantining has turned into baby-making season.
I showed her why they call me The Rock.
The actor joked about how self-isolation has been affecting his marriage with wife Lauren Hashian after being asked by a fan.
I have found that the quarantine has had a very positive effect on my relationship and my marriage.
Dwayne also revealed that while everything is good now, the couple got off to a rocky start.
I gotta be honest with you, when this thing first started, the first 2 weeks of quarantine for me, I was really wobbly at times, and I was trying to get my shit together and try and understand it, because I was just also trying to think 10 steps ahead. What does the future look like? What is the new normal gonna look like when I go back, work, school, my household? So there's a lot of shit that we're all thinking about. Husbands, wives, you name it. We're all thinking about this, so it's a lot of pressure.
The dad of 3 went on to share his take on how having empathy for your partner during these uncertain times can make a world of difference.
We also really make sure that we still try to stay aware as a husband and wife, and this goes for husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friends, whoever you're locked down with. We try to understand that, this is still an incredible, even though things are quiet and the pace has really slowed down for all of us around the world, it's still an incredible amount of pressure, because we just don't know, and it's the fear of the unknown, and how that can impact a relationship, how that can impact mental wellness. So we try to go easy on each other. We try to make things light, not too judgy.
Dwayne and Lauren got secretly married after 12 years together in August of 2019. The couple shares 2 girls, Jasmine, who is 4, and 2-year-old Tiana.
Mama Lauren is doing great. Baby T is getting big. Baby Jazzy is loving her little sister. Just, everything is great.
The Jumanji Next Level star is also a father to 18-year-old Simone from his first marriage. Before Dwayne ended his Q&A video, he had one more message for fans.
And I hope this helps you guys around the world. It's not easy. It is not easy. You're locked down. You're with your partner, your loved one, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. And I get it's not easy, but we're gonna get through this on the other side. Hopefully, my marriage and your marriage and all your relationships are going to be better on the other side of this thing. All right. Most importantly, stay healthy and stay safe.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. Thank you for watching this evening edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. Have a great evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of Good Evening New Hampshire. Bye, everyone.